Students, parents, and guardians, welcome to Education Talk with the Dean Show. I'm your host, the Dean. We have a great show planned for you today. My guest is a young woman who graduated from Spelman College, and she's also an educator. Our conversation will include what are some schools doing to empower teachers to ensure student success? What are the greatest challenges our students face today? And what role do parents play in their child's education? All that and more on the next Education Talk with the Dean Show. Welcome, students, parents, and guardians. Please help me welcome Miss Christina Hill. How are you?
I'm well. How are you?
Thank you so much for being on the show today.
Thank you for having me.
So, you graduated from Spelman College.
Yes.
You're an educator.
Yes.
And you're a director of academics.
Yes.
Let's talk about Spelman. What was Spelman life like?
Spelman was one of the greatest experiences that I was fortunate to have. Being at Spelman was awesome because you were able to be surrounded by people who looked like you, who are all striving to be the best. It was a supportive environment that just nurtured you and pushed you forward to be successful. And a lot of the skills that I use today started or were instilled while I was attending Spelman.
And what was the tradition like there at Spelman?
So there's a lot of tradition. So in historically black colleges, which Spelman is a historically black college and university, traditionally we know people of color were not allowed legally to be educated. So HBCUs, or historically black colleges, serve as spaces built or designed just for people of color. And Spelman specifically was built for women of color. So traditions really seek to nurture and enhance us. So one of the traditions is we have an alumni arch. So it's this arch on campus, it's in the middle of campus, it's got flowers and it's beautiful.
Nice and pretty.
Keep it up, it's nice and pretty.
Okay.
But the tradition is that if you walk under the arch prior to graduating, you will not graduate.
Wait. If you walk up under the arch prior to graduating, you're not walking.
You're not walking.
I know something that ain't walking up under that arch.
So the big tradition is on class day, your senior year, all of the alumni from years, it could be 20 years ago, 50 years ago, come back and they line the streets and they celebrate you walking through the arch as like a rite of passage. And you have to do this as well as other events in a white conservative dress. So traditionally, women of color didn't have a lot of choices for clothing to choose from.
Say that again?
Traditionally.
Oh, traditionally, because today, not today, you guys got big closets. Walk in, walk through, walk out.
I think the men are contending with us these days now. You know.
No, we don't have as much as you all do. No,
I don't know. So to keep with that tradition, a lot of the events, graduations, walking under the arch, an induction ceremony, you have to have a conservative white dress, flesh tone stockings, and closed toe black shoes. Minimal jewelry, minimal makeup, because historically those who came before us didn't have access to all of those things, and you want to be respectful, so you don't want to be dressing all provocative.
I can see that. So your current role is the director of academics.
Yes.
Parents and guardians, listen very closely. This is very, very important. So what is academics?
So academics is the total of what your child is expected to learn or going to learn by the end of a given school year. So it could include their elective classes, specials classes, technology, art, music, physical education. It could include a language component such as Spanish, French, Latin, German, and then also your core courses, your ELA, math, science, and social studies.
Okay, so let's talk about your role now, Director of Academics. What is it that you do? So for example, I bring my child into your office, you sit us down, and you start to say what?
So my role covers a lot of different things. So there's two different categories. You have the academic program, and then you have instruction. So on one hand, I would be able to discuss the academic program, meaning what courses you should take, what the course includes, why it's important, what the curriculum outline is going to be, so the units of study and how it's going to build from year to year. And then also in my role, the instructional side is working with the educators or teachers on implementing that academic program to make sure that your child is receiving a quality education. So how are they delivering the instruction so that your child is learning what he or she needs to learn by the end of this school year?
Okay. How many educators or teachers do you actually supervise?
I would say on average there's about 50 educators that I oversee and I work with.
You said 5?
50.
50 people that you supervise?
50 people.
How do you empower all of them to ensure a student's success? All those personalities.
Right. So I think the first step is learning your staff. So, you know, being a teacher, we teach you that you have to know and learn and build relationships with your students. Same thing with overseeing and working with the staff. You have to know them, their styles. Some need words of affirmation on a regular basis. Some need you to do something to show them that you support them and you're there for them. So really just knowing what they need and their best means of communication and kind of building that sense of trust and letting them know that it's not just on them, but we're in this together. So we're going to work collectively to get the job done.
So what's your love language?
Last time I took the survey, my love language was words of affirmation and acts of kindness, gestures, gifts. I was tied.
So you're not going to ask me what mine is?
Oh, I mean, I thought you were interviewing me, so, but what is yours?
People.
No, I want to know. Please tell me.
Mine is words of affirmation.
Really?
Yes, it was. Yes.
Oh, okay.
So let's talk about culturally responsive teaching. What is that?
So culturally responsive teaching is really being responsive to who you have sitting in front of you. So a lot of times you will have a curriculum that is focused on a particular group that may not be reflective of the group that's being educated. So you want culturally responsive teaching to include the backgrounds and information about and perspectives of different groups of people, especially the group that you're serving. So they need to see themselves reflected and connected to the content that they're being taught or reading about. So there's a lot of studies that have come out recently to say that student achievement increases when the instruction is reflective of the group.
Good to know, good to know. I hope you're hearing this. So what do you think are the greatest challenges that our students face in schools today?
I think there's a lot of challenges that they face today that they didn't necessarily face when you or I were in school. But one of the biggest one I think they're contending with right now is social media.
Snapchat,
Facebook,
Instagram,
Twitter,
and everything else.
So I think that's one of the greatest challenges because things are spread faster. People are screenshotting things so you can't take it back. So just trying to navigate this world where everything is on public display, everybody sees everything, everybody talks about everything, it decreases your level of privacy. And also people post on social media with different like facades, like I'm wearing these clothes or these shoes or my hair is this way or my body is that way. And a lot of times what they portray on social media isn't really the truth of what's going on behind the scenes. But I think young people feel the need to compete and keep up with. So I think just all those different dynamics that comes with social media, the bullying, the trying to keep up, the comparison, the cliques, the relationships. I think it's it's more to deal with, even in terms of relationships and getting along with different people. A lot of the conflicts that start in school start on social media.
Yep.
So you didn't like something, you didn't retweet something, you took what I said out of context, you thought I was throwing it indirect, and now we in school and we arguing about it. So I think that's something big that they're contending with right now that we didn't have to deal with when we were in school.
And another challenge that we need to highlight and address is that there are some students whose last meal is lunch. You heard me. Their last meal is lunch. Parents and guardians, if you are in this situation, I want you to go to your schools, speak with your principal, assistant principal, dean of students, director of academics, speak to the leadership team in the school. They are there to help you. Many schools have food pantries that's accessible to you and your child. These programs are here for you, but if you don't ask, you're not informed. So that brings me to my next question, parent involvement. How important to you is parent involvement?
Parent involvement is extremely important. As educators, we work hard, but we cannot accomplish our goals without the support, input, and involvement of our students' parents. The parents are the foundation for everything that we do. They have the most influence on their children. So them being informed, partnering with us so to make sure that students get everything that they need. We can't do this work alone.
You're absolutely right. You can't do it alone. So what do you do to kind of increase parent involvement?
So there's a lot of different things that my school does to try to increase parent involvement. So we've been using technology to our advantage. So we have what's called the Remind app, Class Dojo. We also have PowerSchool. And these three different technological platforms encourage parent involvement because they get like immediate text. There's postings, they have unique usernames where they can kind of log in and see how their child is progressing in terms of behavior and academics. It also opens up what events we have going on at the school, so different parent nights, curriculum nights, different extracurricular activities. They can just log in right to those sites and get all of that information, and then we encourage them to join in and partner with us with those events. Also, in terms of like grading, they can look on and immediately know how their child is doing in a particular class, and they'll be able to reach out to their child's teacher using those different applications. So you don't, I know parents are busy, you're working, you're trying to juggle all these different things. You can have immediate access to your child's teacher through these different platforms. So we can't do what we do without parents. So we have those three different things with technology. We also have different events at the school like curriculum night, open house. We've done fall festivals. We do different things highlighting the parents and celebrating parents as mothers, fathers, grandparents, to really just encourage them that we're a family and we're partnering together and have open lines of communication. We also have an open door policy. So at any time, a parent, guardian can stop by the school, volunteer, take a tour, walk around, hang out in their child's classroom so they can see exactly what their child is learning, so then they can be empowered to go and support their child with their homework or assignments at home.
Nice, nice. You heard it, parents. Open door policy. That means you can go to the school and visit your child in the classroom. I encourage you to do that. Also, too, I know we're busy. I know we're off doing a lot of things. But when you change your phone number, please make sure the school gets your new number. Okay, yes. It's very, very important. Very important. They have these portals set up for you to communicate back and forth with you, but they can't if they don't have the correct number. So make sure you update your numbers every time you change. I know we change our numbers like we change our clothes, but make sure you get your number to the school, please. Before we go, what's your outcome when it comes to your student success? What's your outcomes?
So ultimately, I want my students to be productive members of society and to reach their dreams, whatever that may be. So everyone has a different definition of what it means to be successful. So whatever their definition of success, I want them to reach that and potentially exceed it. So while they're with us, I want them to be well educated. I want their character built. I want them nurtured. I want them to know that they have a voice, that they're well cared for, and that we have their back. So even when they do leave school to go on to the next phase of their educational experience, I want them to know that they can come back and that we will continue to help and support them in reaching those goals and success points.
If there was a word that you can give to your students and their families just to offer encouragement, support, and just success, what word would that be?
I would have to say perseverance.
Perseverance.
Perseverance. Roads are not always going to be easy. We may have a plan in mind, and there may be some things that kind of take us away from our plan that we didn't anticipate. And so it's going to take a lot of focus and perseverance in order to reach your ultimate goal, but it's possible as long as you persevere through those times that you didn't necessarily see coming.
It's possible. Until next time, be safe.